while ago, I was really depressed and had found myself in my first therapy session. And after telling the guy how I felt, he just said, well, why don't you kill yourself? I thought, fuck, that's a really good question. It's a good question no one had ever asked me. And for 3 years since then, I've just been trying to understand the answer to that question. I'm currently on a trip that doesn't really have an end. We're in India, now we're in Vietnam, we're going to Sydney next, and then New Zealand, then anywhere else really. But right before this trip, I was in another low. I'd just hit a classic big low that I'd hit probably every 6 months. So it was time for me to spend this trip doing what I normally do, thinking about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, what are my beliefs, what do I want to do, and why? Why? Admittedly, I've never bothered to learn any kind of academic philosophy on purpose. Probably should have, but I just never really had the motivation or interest to learn it. It's just lots of long-winded analogies and it bores me, to be honest. But I have a lot of free time now, so I finally bothered to try and learn and understand what people have said before me. And let's apply that to some of my experiences and condense down the academia a little bit. And it all starts with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, let's do a quick recap. So it's a 5-layer pyramid where he kind of argued to get the layer above it, you need the layers below it achieved. So let's start the bottom layer. That's your physiological needs. This is your water, your food, your shelter. Above that, he placed security needs. So this is financial security, this is physical security, this is also just kind of stability in life. Then third layer, he placed connecting with others. So this is friendships, relationships, loving. Number 4 starts to get a bit more interesting. You have the esteem layer. This is about achievement and recognition through achievement. And lastly is the self-actualization layer. This is the top of the pyramid. This is your purpose, your personal growth, your creativity. That's what he argued people need in life. I think Maslow summarized our sources of need and desire quite well, but the idea it's in a hierarchy, I just disagree with. I think we all find our own levels of importance for each of the desires and needs. I know I do. Certain ones of those are much more important to me. In fact, I think purpose comes before everything. Then there's also 3 classical schools of thought on human desire. All kind of overlap with Maslow. Firstly, you have Freud, the original. He argued all humans wanted was pleasure and avoided displeasure. He kind of meant it in an animalistic way. It was a bit weird. Freud was a bit weird really as well. Next you had Adler, who argued all humans wanted was power and to be dominant over other people. In a kind of achievement way, he wanted recognition. Again, I see that as quite animalistic, to be honest. And lastly, you had Viktor Frankl, who just argued that humans wanted a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. You can see how these overlap with Maslow. purpose is all that matters to me. I need a reason to do something. It's like Newton's first law of motion. A body is in equilibrium, just still, until a force is applied to it. And that's me. I'm doing nothing still, until the force of purpose is applied to me to make me do something. And this really applies to everything. Why bother eating if I don't have a reason to eat? Why bother aiming for achievements if I don't have a reason to achieve? Why bother doing anything if I have no reason to do it?
All right, it's been 2 months since I last recorded anything for this video, which is quite a while. So at this point, I wanted to take a deeper look at purpose and the ways you gain purpose. And well, there's 4 main ways you do. Firstly, there's Friedrich Nietzsche, who says you just arbitrarily create that purpose, whereas Viktor Frankl argued you have to discover the purpose. And he says you discover the purpose through creating and achieving relationships with family and suffering. There's religion to gain some purpose, which is kind of the classic way people always gain purpose. And then there is accepting there is no purpose, some sort of absurdism or nihilism. Now, I wish I could believe in religion. I think it gives a great sense of morality to people. It gives a great community to people, and more importantly, it gives everyone a big sense of meaning and purpose. But I just don't fucking believe it, you know? And you can't force believing it, because you're just lying to yourself. You're trying to trick yourself, but you know it's not true. And on the same note as that, I don't agree with Nietzsche, you know? He's saying that you just arbitrarily create it, but again, you're just lying to yourself. You're just trying to trick yourself into having some meaning, but you don't believe it. Then there's also Viktor Frankl saying I discover it, and I did love his book, Man's Search for Meaning. And I thought when I'd quit my job in June and travel around, I might finally discover this meaning he's talking about. But it's nearly a year later, and I've not discovered anything. I tried picking up all the different hobbies, exploring different things in life, you know, but I've not discovered anything. I don't think I'm going to, because I do just think life is meaningless. There's kind of 3 main theories around thinking life is meaningless. The first one is nihilism, which is just accepting that it is meaningless and that you should die, which is just very suicidal. There is absurdism, which is accepting it's meaningless but rebelling against it and living it to the full anyway. And then there is existentialism, which is accepting it's meaningless but creating purpose anyway as a distraction, which to me is just the same as what Nietzsche was saying. We can knock off the existentialism straight away, the same Nietzsche problem as we had before. But nihilism and absurdism, I kind of realize I resonated with. When I'm depressed, I'm very nihilistic. And when I'm not depressed, I'm very absurdist. Kind of can be summarized with getting up in the morning, where like every morning I hate getting out of bed. I really struggle. And when I'm really depressed, I don't. I've spent many days in bed. I'm very nihilistic on those days. But on many other days, I do get out of bed and live life to the full and do a bunch of stuff. And those days I am absurdist. I still, if you asked me, would say it's all meaningless, but I guess I am rebelling against the meaninglessness of it. I wanted to understand absurdism a bit more, and so I had a chat with an AI, because that's the weird world we live in right now. And I'm not too proud of it, but it said some stuff I really liked, because when I was trying to understand what people do to rebel against the meaninglessness of life, it gave me 3 main examples. The first one was the artist, just kind of creating beauty in this meaningless world, with the obvious example of Van Gogh. There's the lover, which was about having deep, meaningful connections with people. And then lastly, there was the adventurer, which was, well, seeing life as an adventure, traveling, having different experiences, taking risks, and kind of seeing what's next. And that's where something finally resonated with me. I realized I just find a lot of pleasure in life in the journey of it, you know? Having lots of really fun, random, unique experiences. It's that surprise, that thing I don't know in the future, which is what keeps me motivated, because I want to find out what happens next. Like a good movie, I want to watch the end so I know what happens. And the same with my life. I want to keep going because I want to know what happens in the end. Because there's always something new and unique happening. And it's only when nothing is happening do I start to turn a bit more nihilistic. So let's go back to that question at the start that my therapist asked me. Why didn't I just kill myself? Well, I just want to find out what happens next.